What is up, guys? Today we're taking a look at another motherboard. This one comes from ASRock and it's their Z390 Extreme4. This motherboard is pretty much made for everybody. So it has features for gamers, features for overclockers, and just general PC users as well. So let's go ahead and take a look. Taking a first look at the board, we have a black, gray, and gunmetal theme going on. So we have a black PCB with gray streaks across it, gunmetal heatsinks, and a black I/O and audio cover. Overall, I think the board looks quite good. Starting at the CPU socket, we of course have Intel's LGA 1151 socket. And for those wondering, Z390 boards will support both 8th gen and 9th gen Intel Core processors. This board features a 12-phase VRM and has some pretty hefty power delivery components as well, like 60 amp chokes, dual stack MOSFETs, and 12K black capacitors. These power delivery components are covered by ASRock's XXL heatsinks, which should provide more than adequate cooling. In the top left corner of the board, you're going to find the 8-pin EPS connector as well as an optional 4-pin. Moving over to the other side of the heatsink, you'll spot your CPU fan headers. Coming over to the memory slots, there are 4 DDR4 DIMM slots, which support up to 64 gigabytes of DDR4 4300 memory. These slots are not metal reinforced, but they do have the closed locks on the bottom, so you can swap out your memory without having to remove your graphics card. Along the edge of the board by your memory slots is your 24-pin ATX power connection, 2 USB 3.1 Gen 1 headers, and a USB 3.1 Gen 2 header. There are actually 8 SATA 6GB ports on this board. 6 are powered by the Z390 chipset, while the last 2 are powered by the ASMedia ASM1061 controller. Of course, at the bottom of the board, you're going to find the rest of your headers and connections. So from left to right, you have your HD audio header, 3-pin addressable RGB header, 2 4-pin RGB headers, Thunderbolt header, a 4-pin fan header, TPM header, COM port header, 2 USB 2.0 headers, your front panel headers, and another 4-pin fan header. ASRock is using their Purity Sound 4 audio solution with this board, so it leverages 7.1 channel audio with the Realtek ALC 1220 audio codec. While most of our audio components are covered by the extension of the I/O cover, we can see the audio capacitors. As far as expansion slots go, we have 3 PCI Express 3.0 x16 slots and 3 PCI Express 3.0 x1 slots. The top 2 x16 slots are metal reinforced, and the board does support both SLI as well as Crossfire. With a single card installed, it is of course going to run at x16 speeds, but if you do want to do say SLI or Crossfire, your cards will drop down to x8 speeds. There are 2 M.2 slots on this board, both of which are PCI Express 3.0 x4 slots. The first one sits above the top x16 slot and supports M.2 SSDs up to 80mm. The second one is down below the PCH heatsink, and it actually has its own integrated heatsink. It supports M.2 SSDs up to 110mm. There is also an M.2 Wi-Fi slot. This is made for Intel's wireless AC modules. Finally, we come to the rear I/O, which does have a nice cover on it with the ASRock logo. From left to right, we have a combination PS2 port, 2 USB 3.0 ports, DVI, DisplayPort, HDMI, 2 USB 3.0 ports, 2 USB 3.1 ports. You have a Type A and a Type C, Gigabit Ethernet, and our audio connections. When it comes to RGB lighting on the board, you have lights on the I/O cover, audio cover, as well as the PCH heatsink. Now remember, all of these can be controlled by ASRock's Polychrome Sync software, and if you want to add even more RGB lighting, there are 3 RGB headers on the board. Wrapping things up here, I think ASRock has a great board in their Z390 Extreme4. As I said at the beginning of this video, it has features for everybody. If you're a gamer, it has SLI as well as crossfire support, and you have pretty good onboard audio. If you're an overclocker, it has that 12-phase VRM, and you get that extra 4-pin CPU power connection to bring even more stable power. And you have the XXL heat sinks, which actually do a really good job. In our overclocking testing, we were able to get up to 5 gigahertz, and we didn't have any thermal throttling like we've seen with some other motherboards that don't have, good VRM cooling. And for the everyday person, this has 8 SATA 6 gig ports instead of 6. You have the 2 M.2 slots, and you have the M.2 Wi-Fi slot as well if you want to add Wi-Fi to the board. And of course, USB 3.1 support, it's there as well. So this board kind of covers everything, and it's not that expensive either. We'll have the link below where you can go ahead and pick this board up. We'll also have a link below to our full written review, which covers everything, our overclocking, all of our testing, and everything like that. Now, if you enjoyed this video, we would appreciate it if you hit that like button. And if you enjoy our tech content, go ahead and subscribe. Until next time, catch you guys later.